Hi, this is Anna Horford, and you're listening to Horford Happy Hour. Welcome to another episode of Horford Happy Hour. Today we're discussing the classic and controversial debate of marijuana versus alcohol. So this week's guest is my sister Maria.
Hi.
And we are drinking Cupcake Cabernet, which is just a rich and creamy red. And it's actually just really nice to sit down right now with a glass of wine after such a long day. It wasn't the best day as far as news goes for the Celtics. And, you know, it was just one of those days. So this has been really, really nice.
Oh, yes.
All right, so we live in Michigan where it's legal to smoke marijuana if you have a medical marijuana card. Many people that I know have their cards, from young to old, and marijuana is known to help with sleep, nausea, aches, pains, headaches, etc. And most of the people that I know use it because it helps them get through their day in one way or another. So one thing that I wanted to do was talk about breaking stereotypes. So when you think pothead, you think stupid stoner, surfers, hippies, totally Kyle from Nickelodeon. Do you remember that show? Where he's like, or I was like, spider. And the spider was like, Kyle.
Yeah, he was definitely high. He had to have been.
Yeah, and Nickelodeon knew it the whole time. But so yeah, those are kind of your stereotypes when you think of stoners. But nowadays, people who smoke, or shall I say, openly smoke, or who are open to the concept, are grandparents, aunts, uncles, teachers, nurses, and even doctors. So if we've been told our whole lives that pot is a scary drug, why are people, and a lot of them are intelligent people, why are people from all walks of life using it? So that's like one of my big questions. And Mimi, I just wanted to ask you, why do you think people still reject marijuana even though it's proven to be medicinal?
Well, people just need to do their research, and they need to do their research on, there's a lot of bullshit on the internet. Do, your legit research. There are so many stories and so many, examples of pot literally saving people's lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think people just need to look into it more.
Just get educated.
Yeah, definitely get educated. Don't knock it before you try it, too. People are so scared to smoke a bowl, but we'll go take 5 shots in an hour at the bar.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then, I feel like I see people, and I'm like, you would be so much nicer if you just hit a joint.
But for real, I want to tell everyone that who I run into who's like, I'm having a bad day, or I have a headache, I've had it all day. I'm just I just want to be smoke some pot.
Right. When people usually talk about weed, they say it makes them happy, hungry, or sleepy, And so it's not like it's not like alcohol where, people can get violent and aggressive and even more sad or depressed.
Yeah.
And
I feel like when you drink, you never really know how you're going to act either. Because, some nights I'll drink, I'll be like, woo, crazy. Some nights I'll drink and I'm turn into this mega bitch. And I'm like, okay. I don't like all the personalities that come with it. But when you smoke, you're just happy.
And you basically kind of know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And you are someone who has their medical marijuana card.
I do.
So what's the process of getting your med card like?
So it's not hard. You have to just have some paperwork, evidence of any injuries or any problems that you're having with your body that you think weed will help. So you just gotta have some proof. And then you just call dispensaries around your house, figure out when the doctor will be in. For us in Michigan, the doctor's usually in on the weekends. So when I went, it was a Sunday, and it was a certain time. The doctor's only there. He just looks over your paperwork and he asks you like how you're feeling, like why you think you need it, how it's going to help you, and then that's basically it. Like it costs a little bit of money.
And you have to be a certain age, right?
I'm assuming you would have to be 18 or older.
18 or older, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it's 21. But yeah, I think it's maybe 160 total.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have it for 2 years until you have to renew it again. So it's really easy.
Yeah, and I have friends who actually work at dispensaries, and some of their biggest clients are actually old people and people with cancer and people who don't even like to smoke it. They go in and they get edibles. It helps them sleep. It helps with pain. So I just feel like there's just so much nonsense surrounding marijuana. I don't even think you could call it a drug. It's a plant, it helps. And so another thing that I wanted to jump into were some common misconceptions about weed. So this is provided by CBS News, and we're just going to talk about some myths surrounding marijuana. So the first myth is that marijuana is a gateway drug. And
gateway to the kitchen, right?
Oh my gosh, that was so cheesy.
But for real, oh my God, I just want to laugh in people's faces when they say that marijuana is a gateway drug. If anything, I think alcohol is more of a gateway drug than marijuana.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. No matter what you're using, you obviously have to be safe and whatnot.
Right.
But so they had said that despite anti-drug education campaigns, which state marijuana is a gateway for harder drug use, new research from the University of New Hampshire says for most people that's not true. But pot does serve as a gateway, mainly for young people who are poor, unemployed, and subjected to severe psychological stress. So I get that kind of, because people can become dependent on it, but it's not necessarily proven to be a gateway drug. The next myth is that marijuana can make you crazy. Not according to the scientific literature, which finds scant evidence that marijuana causes mental illness. Some users do experience anxiety and paranoia, and too much weed can cause toxic psychosis. That's when you lose contact with reality. The effects are temporary, and that was from the National Institute on Drug Abuse. And it says that, although depression, anxiety, and personality disturbances can be linked with chronic use, it's not clear whether pot causes those problems or is used to self-medicate against them. So basically they're saying we can't really say that, that it does make you crazy or one way or another because there's just not enough evidence out there, statistically speaking. Not that people haven't been smoking for hundreds of years, So I thought that was interesting. And then our last myth is, I got this off of leafscience.com, is that you can overdose on marijuana. So while prescription painkillers cause thousands of overdose deaths each year, no one has ever died from a marijuana overdose. In fact, studies suggest it is impossible to die from smoking too much marijuana, but indirect deaths are possible and documented. And according to the National Cancer Institute, you cannot die of a marijuana overdose. Here's why. Because cannabinoid receptors, unlike opioid receptors, are not located in the brainstem areas controlling respiration. Lethal overdoses from cannabis and cannabinoids do not occur. So in other words, marijuana and opioids affect different pathways of the body. Opioid pathways, also known as receptors, are present in areas of the brain that control breathing. As a result, taking too many painkillers can cause a person to stop breathing. But marijuana acts on a completely different set of pathways. These pathways are called cannabinoid receptors, and they do not affect respiration. Thus, marijuana cannot cause someone to stop breathing no matter how much they ingest. And yeah, so that's also it. You can't die from it. You can absolutely die from drinking. Thousands of people die each year from drinking. And there are just so many more things you can do safely stoned than drunk.
For sure.
You're
not supposed to drive while you smoke, but
Like if you absolutely had to,
if you absolutely had to,
you might be able to get away with it.
Yeah.
You can ride a bike. You can, a lot of mothers, especially in some Caribbean countries, including Jamaica, smoke throughout pregnancy because it helps with symptoms.
And yeah, people should definitely look up the studies that were done in Jamaica with the pregnant women who were smoking. I can't remember the name of the doctor, whoever did it, but that's an interesting study because it showed 0 birth defects, and it actually showed like a higher level of creativity like in the kids as they grew up and stuff like that. So it's really interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. And I don't know, I just think the more that we become aware, the more studies we do, the more evidence that's going to kind of back up marijuana instead of, alcohol. And so...
I also learned that we have cannabinoids in our breast milk.
Really?
Yeah, because it helps, keep the baby hungry.
The baby?
Like it doesn't, it's kind of confusing because you're eating breast milk, but the cannabinoids help, like, keep you hungry. Like, baby's got to keep constantly eating all day. So I feel like it's just to, like, I don't really know what exactly it's for, but I know that it's in our breast milk. So.
That, it would definitely be interesting to look up. So now I feel like I have to do that because now I want to know. Dude, boobs are already magic. And then you just...
Boobs are great.
Then you add them into the mix and it's like... all right, so yeah, and then I feel like another thing with alcohol is that it's also a depressant, so you have to be careful with that, and it negatively impacts so many people, so many families. It runs in so many families, and I just feel like, it's just something that you can't overlook, something that you have to be safe with. Guys, I know that I tweet a lot about having a glass of wine or going out, but I usually keep that to my weekends because I do work during the week, and that's like my time to like chill and have fun. But you should always be safe no matter what you're doing. So I am definitely just wanted to throw that in there. So
drink responsibly, right?
Yeah, drink responsibly. All right, so let's get into alcohol a little bit. According to dmv.org, all 50 states have now set 0.08% as the legal limit for driving under the influence. So 0.08. For commercial drivers, a BAC of 0.4% can result in a DUI or DWI conviction nationwide. So that is pretty standard. You got your 0.08%. And let's talk a little bit about alcohol use in the United States. So for the prevalence of drinking, according to the 2015 National Survey on Drug Use and Health, 86.4% of people ages 18 or older reported that they drank alcohol at some point in their lifetime. 70.1% reported that they drank in the past year. 56% reported that they drank in the past month. And these statistics are coming from the National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism. And then the prevalence of binge drinking and heavy alcohol use is in 2015, 26.9% of people ages 18 or older reported that they engaged in binge drinking in the past month, and that number is probably a lie because a lot more kids
than that. It's funny that they're doing it 18 and older. Like, you're not supposed to drink till you're 21 or whatever.
Right.
So it's like,
and even with that, I feel like these numbers are kind of low.
Yeah.
And then 7% reported that they engaged in heavy alcohol use in the past month.
Wait, what's considered heavy?
Heavy? I don't know. It's probably just binge drinking.
Oh, yeah.
And, I feel like that's another thing that's weird about the U.S. is that you talk to people from European countries and they're like, yeah, we don't have the urge to go out and get shit-faced and binge drink because we've grown up having a glass of wine at dinner since the time we were 13 or whatever, having a beer if you're from Germany from the time you're a kid. And so it's just so normalized to them that they don't need to go crazy and abuse it. And I don't understand why the U.S., just another thing on the list.
Another fucking thing, dude.
Why they're
that
so
we're
behind.
Doing wrong.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's pretty crazy. And then as far as alcohol related deaths go, an estimated 88,000 people, approximately 62,000 men and 26,000 women die from alcohol related causes annually, making alcohol the third leading preventable cause of death in the United States. The first is tobacco, and the second is poor diet and physical inactivity.
Oh my God, that's so sad.
It's so sad.
Smoking, drinking, and being fat.
Being overweight, yeah. Which, I mean, the United States definitely, that's another thing we're just winning at right now. So yeah, and then in 2014, alcohol impaired driving fatalities accounted for 9,967 deaths, 31% of overall driving fatalities, which is crazy because when you drink and drive, you are not only putting yourself at risk, you're putting others at risk. There are so many driving apps. There's Uber, there's Lyft. There are just so many different alternatives.
Call a friend. Like, I literally tell people that, like, I'm friends with people on social media that I really don't hang out with in real life. But if I know you well enough and you literally can't find a ride home, please call me.
Yeah.
I'm so serious. Like, I know people say that, but I don't do well with death. And if any of my friends ever died from something stupid like that, I would be a wreck.
Yeah,
it's
hard.
just stupid.
Yeah. It's just not worth it. So definitely not something that you want to do. And another kind of shocking statistic, as far as economic burdens go, in 2010, alcohol misuse cost the United States $249 billion.
Billion.
Yeah, and 3/4 of the total cost of alcohol misuse is related to binge drinking, which is just wild to me. So, I know that the alcohol industry is vast and, it makes a lot of money. But this kind of segues into what I want to talk about next, which is the negative impact of alcohol on the economy, the positive impact of marijuana on the economy. And according to thinkprogress.org, they stated that Colorado's experience suggests starting a legal cannabis industry is one of the most efficient ways to generate new economic activity. And it turns out pot is a stronger economic driver than 90% of the industries active in Colorado. Legal weed created 18,000 full-time jobs and added about $2.4 billion to the state's economy last year.
That is insane.
And that's an analysis from the Marijuana Policy Group. And so think about it, $249 billion on alcohol. That's what it cost our economy. And marijuana added $2.4 billion. So one is taking away a ton of money, and one is really, putting money into our economy, strengthening business and growth and whatnot. So,
yep, they're definitely doing it right out there.
Yeah, so we should go to Colorado.
I'm actually thinking about going in May. So,
am I invited?
If you want to tag along, I kind of just want to go out there and take pictures and smoke and I don't know. I'm really curious to just see what it's like being legal.
Yeah.
It's got to be different, right?
Right.
You see people smoking more, and they're probably smoking lounges where you can just chill. That's really cool.
Yeah. So, and it's probably just the longer that it's in effect, the more normal it becomes. So like I said, with drinking in Europe, it's so normalized that people, you learn not to abuse things when they're just readily available and you can do it in a responsible way. And I just feel like it makes no sense that one of these is legal and the other isn't. So I feel like a lot of it has to do with who's in charge. And a lot of older conservative people still believe in reefer madness, which is actually a 1936 American propaganda film that revolves around these crazy events that take place when these high school kids get pushed into like smoking marijuana, and there's like a hit and run accident and a suicide and a rape attempt. And one of the big like controversial parts of that is that like smoking weed made white women want to sleep with black men.
Oh my.
Yeah. So it's funny. I don't know. And I feel like a lot of older people still,
stupid.
they're like, oh, you're smoking dope, and they don't know any better. They don't know.
And then there are the older people who do know what it does, but they don't want to legalize it for...
I think they might just also not be educated enough, because all signs point to a stronger economy,
It's like people are literally moving up and moving their families from where they live to go to Colorado so they can treat their child that has frickin' seizures and stuff. Like, come on. People should not have to do that to get better.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I'm obviously a fan of going out for drinks, having a glass of wine, etc. But everything is about safety and moderation. You have to be safe. You have to be smart. And I think it only makes sense to legalize weed. And I think we're on that path. Younger and more open-minded generations are once again going to have to step in and step up. And I think change is definitely important. And it's something that I think,
Yeah, it's definitely slowly happening. I don't really hear much about the other states that legalized it, though. Didn't Washington?
I know that there are a few states that it is
I just never
legal.
hear about them.
It's probably because they're just
chilling.
Yeah, they're just chilling. They're happy and they're just like smoking. I think everyone in the state of Florida needs to just fucking light up, because it's just a bunch of old, leathery, gun-toting, crazy people. Not everyone, sorry. I mean, I know, like, go Gators, whatever, but like they need some help. They either need to secede from the U.S. or they need to just get their shit together, because I am not, they're on some bullshit. And if they just hit the blunt, like, they'd feel better. I guarantee it.
I agree.
Yeah. So I think that's all we've got for this episode. And I want to thank you all for tuning in, and shoot me a comment on Twitter and let me know what you think about this topic, because it'd be interesting to hear some different perspectives on this. So you can also tune into my other episodes on iTunes, Stitcher, and the CLNS Media Network. And don't forget to subscribe. I will talk to you guys next week.